This week, MPs voted to press ahead with the line, which should eventually link Manchester to London. But as Elaine Dunkley reports, not everybody's on board.
Stop HS2!
Outside the House of Commons, there were protests.
Listen to us in that big house over there.
Order! Order!
Inside, a rebellion of MPs voting in favour of an amendment that could have wrecked the current plans for HS2. The Conservative MP for Altrincham and Sale West, Graham Brady, was part of the rebellion, along with the Conservative MP for Bury North, David Nuttall.
Might I ask him, does he really think...
The Labour MP for Birkenhead, Frank Field, also remains to be convinced it's money well spent.
Wouldn't the North gain more from a major link between Liverpool and Hull rather than worrying about coming into London?
HS2 is a tricky party versus constituency dilemma. Stephen O'Brien, the Conservative MP for Edisbury in Cheshire, abstained from voting for a number of reasons.
Engineering integrity, cost, environmental protections of habitat, ancient forestry, wildlife, watercourses, noise, safety, and not least full, as well as fair compensation.
33 Conservative MPs rebelled against the blueprint for the high-speed line, but the government enjoyed a comfortable victory on the second reading of the bill for this £50 billion scheme.
The ayes to the right, 452. The noes to the left, 41.
I think this bill and the building of a high-speed rail link north to south is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for the north to mirror the growth which London is seeing.
It's not the actual quantum of money, whether it's 25, 30 or 40 billion, that counts. It's that we will get more economic benefit back than we put in. So the quicker we do it, the better. Thank you.
It's not great for the Northwest. It is simply going to suck talent and business from the Northwest to the Southeast. The ones who did vote against their constituents' wishes, they've got to start thinking very hard about how they deal with the general election, because voting the wrong way in HS2 is a vote loser.
41, so the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Unlock!
Whilst HS2 has passed its second reading, the bill will undergo many more hours of detailed scrutiny as it continues its passage through Parliament.
So what do you think, Saj? Is this the best way to support the North West economy?
Well, it certainly ensures that the North West is much better connected in a way that we need to make sure that we bring ourselves up to standards. I mean, I find when I'm in Europe, right across the continent, that connectivity they have across there, we are simply lagging behind in here. Not to speak of even when I'm in places like China and Japan, and you see the sort of progress that they have made. Quite clearly, we as an economy in the Northwest suffer because we do not have this sort of connectivity available to us.
So why do you oppose it then, Peter?
What's the best use of money for a high-speed rail line that's going to be used by business service users who are the only people that are going to be able to afford this? Or do we really need to be investing in bus services, local train services, connecting up places like Skelmersdale who haven't had a train station?
We don't know how much it'll cost, do we?
Yeah, somewhere between 50 and 80 billion. It depends on the latest estimate.
No. 50 billion is the top whack. What I mean is we don't know what the price of the tickets will be. So when you say people can't afford it, we don't actually know that.
Well, if you imagine who that's being targeted at and marketed at, that is a business clientele. I actually would say that we need to spend the money to open up local bus services, make those affordable for people, local train services for places that have been cut off, that have been promised train stations years ago. And I really agree with what Frank Field said there. Let's connect up the west and the east, and that's a more important transport investment here in the northwest.
Is Frank Field right?
The point is that we need to do both. The real danger is we're going to run out of capacity on the West Coast mainland. Already, we've got passengers, 14% of passengers during peak hours in Manchester actually standing. What we need is electrification from Liverpool to Manchester, Manchester Leeds, and we need high speed too, which would have an impact on the northwest of economy of 51 billion.
So you think that one of the benefits here is that it's not just about faster trains, but it will actually boost the regional economy?
Absolutely critical. It's about capacity. It's about making sure that the major cities in the northwest can trade internationally, and it's making sure that we retain jobs and talent in the northwest region.
Peter?
Research from other areas in Europe that have put high-speed rail lines indicate that there's a real risk that actually the effect is going to be sucking money out of the northwest and putting it into London.
No.
And that is the danger. And we can totally disagree with that. We will come, from our point of view, the Greens are saying HS2 is wrong, the money could be better invested elsewhere. Your parties are agreeing on this and putting it, it's going to be pushed through, but we will oppose it with everything that we can, because it's the wrong decision.
The bottom line is that Peter represents a party that opposes growth per se. It does not recognise economic growth as necessarily being a good thing. Now, in the real world, we know, those of us that have to make these decisions where people's lives are going to be impacted, that without growth, you simply are holding people back. We cannot allow that to happen.
Well, when growth means growth in debt, and we're talking about consumer debt in Europe being 110% of European GDP, what's good growth? Growth that's led to that, huge levels of indebtedness, is bad. We're going to have to see growth in things like renewable industries. We're going to have to see growth in sustainable transport, but not all growth is good.